Today we're looking ahead to the Supreme Novices Hurdle, which is the curtain raiser of the Cheltenham Festival in March, and it is run over an extended 2 miles. Now sadly, Nick Watts cannot join us in this forum today, but never fear, Ed Quigley and Graham Rodray are here to talk about their best anti-post bets. Now, let's start first of all with the current market leader, My 10 Till Yours, the winner of the Betfair Hurdle. Currently around the 2-to-1 mark, Ed. Is that too short or a fair price in your eyes?
It's a fair price, really. I mean, what would you lay him at if you're a bookmaker? You can't really knock what he's done. His form's stacking up brilliantly. He beat Taquin de Sul going back a couple of runs ago. That's since gone on to win a Grade 1. Chatterbox, who beat him, since come out and won. And then, yeah, you won't see an easier winner of the Betfair Hurdle, really, in your life. So, yeah, personally, it's not my modus operandi just to get stuck into a horse at 2-to-1 anti-post, but you can't con what he's done. He's officially the highest rated horse in the field, and yeah, he's a worthy favourite.
And Graham, what are your views? What did you think of the Betfair Hurdle, and should he be 2-to-1?
It was hard not to be impressed by My 10 Till Yours, really, at the weekend. He really did absolutely bolt up, didn't he? And I remember when he was beaten by Chatterbox a couple of runs ago, he was given a very sort of tender ride, a very binocular style in the Irish Champion Hurdle by Tony McCoy. He was very much looking after him with a long season in mind. Came from a long way off the pace, just couldn't get to his stablemate Chatterbox, who's since come on and won again. I've had a quick look through the race, and there's been a lot of short price favourites in this race. It's because it's I think the opener, and obviously punters are absolutely dying to get their first bet on, and they love to get stuck in. You had 5-4, You'll Never Walk Alone, 7-4, Like a Butterfly, Dungwib went off at 4-5, Q Card went off at 7-4. So My 10 Till Yours could quite easily be the next one on that list, and it seems a bit strange to say, but if the punters do get stuck into it, I could quite easily see it going off a lot less than 2-to-1. So there's an argument to be made that 2-to-1 might be even a fair price.
So do you think My 10 Till Yours, Graham, should run in the Champion Hurdle or the Supreme? Because there are mentions that it might go to the Champion Hurdle.
It's a tough one. I would give it a miss, the Champion Hurdle. I think there's always next year for the Champion Hurdle. If you did go for the Champion, it'd obviously be a big runner. But Darlan was quite an easy, well, probably would have been quite an easy winner of the Betfair Hurdle last year and wasn't able to go on and win the Supreme. So the way you weigh it up is, you know, if you think that My 10 Till Yours can then go on and win a Champion Hurdle, it's a massive ask for a novice. And given what has happened to the stable's other one, Darlan, I think they'll be more keen to take it slowly with My 10 Till Yours and wait for next year for the Champion Hurdle.
And do you agree with Graham, Ed?
Yeah, if weighing up all percentages, I'd probably stick to the Novice Hurdle route. I could just see another kind of rhinestone cowboy thing happening here where, okay, he may be good enough to win a champion, but I think May is probably answers probably 4 or 5 in the champion that you'd say are better. Official ratings suggest are better anyway. Whereas here he goes here with a strong favourites chance, so I would stick to the Supreme.
Again, let's have a look at Jezki, the Irish raider for Jessica Harrington. Won 2 Grade 1 hurdles over in Ireland. What do you make of his chances, Ed?
Again, another one where you can't really knock what it's done this season over hurdles. Just to look better and better. The form's stacking up, those in behind it. He's done all his winning in soft ground this campaign. Breeding side of things won't get too bogged down, but it should go better on better ground. That is taking on trust. We get better ground for this race. The only problem I've got is it seemed to get a little bit worked up last year before the Champion Bumper, and it ran no sort of race at all. It was well beaten down in 8th, and that would be my slight concern, that it's already had one look in round Presby Park and ran a bit of a no-show. And so, all in all, I don't think there's much appeal at 4-to-1, but again, you cannot knock what it has achieved so far. It's just a question of value, and I don't particularly think it appeals from a value grounds at 4-to-1.
At 4-to-1. And Graham, what are your views on Jezki?
I'm quite happy not to knock him. He's my worst value bet of the whole Cheltenham Festival. I think he's got no chance. He's a real small field bully, in my opinion. If you look at his form figures, he's 1-1-1, 1-1-1 when racing in fields of 12 or less, and his form figures are 8-5 when racing in fields of more than 12. He was well beaten in the Champion Bumper last season on good ground behind Champagne Fever, when, again, the big field, hustle and bustle, just worried out of it, I felt. And all of his form is on soft ground. I know he's won on good, but the race he won on good in Ireland was a really poor race, and he could do nothing more than just win it. I think he's a much better horse on soft ground. And if it comes up quick, then he's definitely one to oppose. The only way he can possibly win it is if there's less than 15 runners in the race, but there hasn't been less than 15 runners in the race in this century, and there's certainly be a big field. I can't have Jeski, absolutely no chance.
Behind, over the last, Jeski the leader as they race now up towards the finish, and Jeski is stretching on clear as they run up towards the finish, and Jeski extends his winning run to 4 in a row and wins with some style. The Paddy Power future champions, Jeski wins clearly. Second home.
And what about Melodic Rendezvous? Cut to single price figures after his win at Exeter, Graham. Is he one for your shortlist?
Another one I don't like, Melodic Rendezvous. I don't think he's that good. He was well beaten by Mr. Mole first time out at Exeter. It wasn't the performance of a subsequent Supreme winner, in my opinion. Has since won 3 times since, but it was a poor race at Cheltenham that he won. Then it was a 5-runner Grade 1 that he won at Sandown, where he beat Pendrew, who's probably not a bad horse, but I don't think he's top grade. It was really testing ground that day. And then there's going to be a lot of people pointing to the fact that I'm a massive Puffin Billy fan, and he thrashed Puffin Billy at the weekend, but Puffin Billy has since come out to be found to be lame, and Puffin Billy was beaten far too far out to say that he would run anywhere near his form, and Melodic Rendezvous just had nothing to beat apart from him. So although he's coming in there with a bunch of ones by his name, I'm convinced he's been running in poor races, and I'm going to aim a similar criticism to him that I did with Jeski. All of his form was on soft ground and in small fields, and that doesn't usually win Supreme Novices Hurdles. Usually you need horses that are good in big fields and on better ground.
And before I ask for your ante-post bets, I have to discuss price-wise is River Maid. What do you make of him, Ed?
Well, I haven't been a massive fan of him, to be honest. It's one of those that hasn't really made me sit up and say, wow, his run on Boxing Day when he beat New Year's Eve, where the form has been let down big time since. In the fact New Year's Eve was then turned over at, I think it was 130 odds on in the Ludlow Maiden Hurdle. And he was held behind Dodging Bullets from their run in the Grade 2 at Cheltenham in November. So you're taking on trust that he's just going to improve, and obviously he's with a top-class trainer, that he will improve him another 10, 12, maybe even a stone more than he currently is to win this race. So, yeah, if he progresses, he's entitled to be there or thereabouts, but it doesn't make a great deal appeal to me at the moment.
Okay, Graham, your thoughts?
Well, his form ties in with Dodging Bullets. I mean, Dodging Bullets beaten, giving him £7. I don't see any reason why River Maid should reverse that form. The argument is that River Maid wasn't fully wound up that day, but Nicky Henderson's not one who usually has his horses well short of fitness first time out. In fact, he's a very good trainer off the layoff. And I don't fancy Dodging Bullets. I think he's got absolutely no chance too. He's a very solid performer. He was 4th in the Triumph last year, and at least the one thing you can say about him is he's been round Cheltenham, he's acted in a big field, he goes on decent ground, and he's rock solid, but he lacks massive superstar potential that some of these have. You're talking about horses like My Tent or Yours, Unatu, bunch of unbeaten horses coming in who could potentially be top class. And we know Dodging Bullets in top class. He showed it last year when well beaten in the Triumph. He was 3rd behind Darlan, and Darlan absolutely thrashed him. And you'd be hoping that next season the horse that wins this race is then going to go on and be able to challenge for champion hurdle honours. And if Dodging Bullets wins, I can't see him going on to do so.
Well, this looks like a good time for you to step in, Ed, because this is your ante-post tip, Dodging Bullets.
I can't have him.
I think Graham's talking nonsense. I think he's fantastic value at 14 to 1. I just don't see how you can knock a horse. He's got won twice over a course of distance, which is a lot more than can be said for many of them.
Yep.
He's got form on good ground, he's got form on soft ground. Last year said he wasn't bad. He's had a lot of experiences. He's a second season novice. He's had the breathing up. And then looking at that Christmas Hurdle run, Graham says he was beaten 7 lengths by Darlan, but that was outside a novice company. And I cannot for the life of me understand how you can have a horse at 14 to 1 who had last year's Supreme Novice Hurdle winner in Cinders and Ashes and the Triumph Hurdle winner behind him in Countrywide Flame. Well, they won the races last year, and he's 14 to 1. I just think it's all crackers. He's officially rated the second best horse in the race behind My Tent or Yours. He's trained by Paul Nicholls. By all accounts, looks like Ruby Walsh should be riding him. I think he's a huge price at 14 to 1. I really do. And I said I just don't see where the big chinks in his armour are. I take to some extent what Graham's saying. Yeah. There's a few more unexposed, perhaps sexier types in here. You've won 2 or 3 races and perhaps travel will look a bit better. But he reminds me a little bit of Alfa Rov in the way I think if he is going to win it, will be in that similar style. He doesn't travel with the grace of perhaps the others, and he'll probably come off the bridle, but he will power up that hill. And I just think 14 to 1, he's a cracking each way bet.
That's the problem with him, really, isn't it? He's not technically a novice because he obviously had that season last season, and where he's got so much experience, to me, he just looks exposed against a bunch of horses that are unexposed.
So, not dodging bullets, Graham, but you're keen on Champagne Fever.
I think Mullins will carry this off. I really do. I think it's between his Unna 2 and Champagne Fever, and I can't be having Unna 2 at the price. I think he's a massively talented horse, and he's won 3 out of 3 really impressively. Last time by 19 lengths, absolutely bolting up. And what I've really been sort of caught my eye with this Unna 2 is that all the way through, Willie Mullins has been saying the Supreme is his race. Now, we know what Mullins is like from previous years and previous forums that we've all done. We all say, oh, the problem is it's trained by Willie Mullins and he don't know where he's going. But since day one, he's known that this Unna 2 is going to run in the Supreme Hurdle. And I think that might be significant. He's obviously showing him plenty of speed at home. He said he's in absolutely no hurry to step him up in trip, which is not usually Mullins' tune. And,
he did say after his first run, though, he did say, I think he's a 3-mile chaser in the making.
Yeah, and
which put me off straight away.
He's a very big type. If you watch him race, he's a very big horse, and he jumps a bit like a chaser, but he can be quick and fluent at his hurdles, and I've seen him do that when under pressure. And I think that when the fast pace comes in the Supreme, that's really going to suit him. He can put in a few fluent leaps. However, I'm loath to tip him at 8 to 1 when his stablemate, who's already been there and done it, Champagne Fever, is double the price. Has already won at Cheltenham Festival last year in a big field on good ground in the bumper. Showed that holds absolutely no fears, and then went on to confirm that form by winning the Grade 1 at Punchestown. And if you look at horses that have won the bumper and then come on to this, they might not have actually won, but you've had several horses run well, Dungwib and Q-Card, it went off favourite even. And I think that he's slowly progressive over hurdles. He won his first run, then he got beaten by Jeski, who's the horse that I don't like. But I can't have that form being absolutely true when it comes to Cheltenham, because the one thing that you know with Champagne Fever is when it mattered last year, Champagne Fever won, and Jeski was well behind in 8th in the same race. So Champagne Fever's already got a verdict over Jeski at the festival. So I'm not really concerned about Jeski going and beating him up in a small field. Okay. And then he's got beaten next time, but then on his last start, very impressive in the Deloitte Novices Hurdle at Leopardstown in a race that has thrown up the winner of this before. I remember Brave Inca taking that before coming on to win it. And he's just going the right way, and I like his profile, and I think he's a big price.
Okay, so that's Champagne Fever. Now, Ed, you've got a long shot for us, of course. You fancy a 66 to 1 shot, Whispering Gallery.
Yeah, one left of field here, Sarah. I'm trying to find one that could potentially really shorten up between now and race day. And Whispering Gallery, John Ferguson, was a 115 rated horse on the flat. Group 3 winner in Maidan, beat Opinion Poll. I mean, on flat ratings, he's the best horse in here. And he won his Novice Hurdle at Leicester and absolutely dotted up. He won it running rings around him. Okay, he beat absolutely nothing. But the way he did it, his jumping was good to start with. It looked a little bit green towards the end, but he's entitled to come on for that. Now, he's got a couple of interesting entries coming up at Ascot and Sandown in the next week. And reading between the lines, the trainers pretty much said, look, he needs to go and win one of those, and then we'll think about the Supreme. The way he travels, given his flat ability, said just watch replay of that Leicester Maiden Hurdle. He just absolutely laughs at the opposition, and 66 to 1. He's only got to make the top 3, and you don't need a lot on it. That kind of price.
Do you think that he's going to be Ferguson number 1? Because Ferguson's got a bunch of horses in there.
Well, this is what I think. New Year's Eve was his number 1 from day one, but things haven't worked out for New Year's Eve. He was well being at Christmas. He was then turned over at odds on to Ludlow, and I think they're starting to think perhaps he wasn't the star he was. Said he's got a Group 3 flat horse in here. He was bolted up on debut, 66 to 1. Look, I don't think anyone knows, but if he wins over 2 miles at Sandown, which his entry suggests, then they're going to have to be thinking about this
I
race.
can see Ferguson having a good runner in there, and being quite a short price on the day, but trying to find out which one it was
difficult.
too puzzling for me.
It's the thing, at the prices, I would side with that one.
So that's Dodging Bullets for Ed and a little bit on Whispering Gallery. Now, Graham, have you got any 66 to 1 shots worth putting a little bit on?
Can't say I do. I'll tell you an horse that's got my eyes, Rock Critic, who's trained by Dermot Weld, and I think he's a very useful horse, but I'm put off by the fact that Dermot Weld had 32 runners at the festival this century, and he's not trained a winner. He's over 32, but he was a smart flat horse, jumps quite well, travels really well, and if Weld brings him over, probably quite interesting runner.
He said he wants heavy ground to bring him over, I think.
Yeah, he wants soft ground, and Weld's record at the festival, though he's had a couple of seconds and thirds in there, he's a bit like Noel Mead.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys. That's Whispering Gallery and Dodging Bullets for Ed, and Graham's on Champagne Fever and perhaps a little bit on rock cricket.